Welcome, everybody. It's WagerTalk Today. I'm Lawrence Presman. It's Monday, and we've got a big show lined up. 3 incredible guests, minus one. Bryan Leonard joining us off the bat. He's going to look at 2 baseball games. The Atlanta Braves against the San Francisco Giants. Teddy's yawning. I'm keeping him up. The Chicago Cubs. There you go. Who's golfing today, Teddy? The Chicago Cubs at Cleveland. Brian Power after that. He's going to look at the Minnesota Twins and Royals game. And he's got an NFL bet for us. A futures bet, win-loss report for you, Teddy, on Carolina and Drew Martin at the end of the show. Texas and Boston and the Milwaukee Brewers game. Teddy covers, what's your big game breakdown?
Well, in What Bettors Learn, we're going to have 6 Bs for the first time this football season. Should be a lot of fun. We'll do a little bad beats, bad bets, bad for the books. And of course, Lawrence, we'll do a big game breakdown talking about the St. Louis Cardinals and the Cincinnati Redlegs. So stay tuned. Loaded Monday edition. Let's get right into it.
Teddy, how much preseason do you watch?
All of it.
Okay, so me and you are on the opposite sides of the spectrum. I watch none of it. I do watch the highlight packages afterwards. Do you think it helps your handicapping moving forward?
So I got exaggerated when I say all of it. I watch just about every first half of every game throughout the course of the week. You don't see them all live. You see them throughout, NFL Network replays them. And by Tuesday of this week, I should have all of the 16 first halves watched. I wouldn't do it if I didn't think it helped my handicapping. And not just for preseason. What I'm looking for now is, does a team have quality depth? Can a team withstand injuries? There's lots of stuff that I pick up. Is the offense working yet? Is the defense working yet? Did they try to blitz this week, or was it all vanilla packages? How do we take their opponent's statistics from this game? All this stuff is all nuanced. And you're not going to get any of it from a box score. You're really not going to get it from a play-by-play. That's why I like to spend my time in August watching a lot of preseason football.
Bryan Leonard, what about you? You watch a lot of the preseason. Does it help your handicapping moving forward?
Well, no, but Teddy watches a lot of football, and Teddy's been able to learn from it. I watch a lot of baseball and hockey and learn from it. But to be honest with you, other than a little bit junior high school, I never played football. So I'm not going to learn enough out of that than I would some others. But yeah, Teddy's one of the best at watching things and following things and writing little notes down. And anytime he sends something out, I like to read it. And so as long as I'm friends with Teddy, I don't need to watch the games.
Fair enough. Bryan Leonard joining us. And breaking news, everybody. Bryan Leonard did not play football. We all thought you did, Bryan. We thought you got really, really close, but you blew your knee out just before your draft year.
Junior high school.
Okay, then.
A little bit in junior high school. That's about it.
Braves playing San Francisco. Basically a pick 'em both sides. Where are we going in this game?
Atlanta Braves are in the midst of a free fall right now. They've really struggled the last month or so as major injuries have finally come to roost. Opening the season, losing the best pitcher in baseball, as well as last year's best hitter, was just the tip of the iceberg for this team. They've lost Ozzie Albies, Michael Harris II, joining the injured list. So this offense has had to tread out retreads like Whit Merrifield and Ramon Laureano to field a lineup. It just blew a huge lead against Colorado. This is a team coming into the season that thought they were going to the World Series. Now they're struggling, and they may not even make the playoffs. The pitching staff's had a lot to rely on the younger starters this year before they're ready, and that has been one constant that they've had this year, and that's Chris Sale, who has been everything they could have asked with a 2.75 ERA, 1.00 WHIP. Looking at his advanced stats, you show why he's the Cy Young frontrunner. He's just been terrific all season long. But keep in mind, he's already surpassed his innings from the past 2 seasons by 20 innings thus far. And in 4 of his last 5 starts, he failed to reach 6 innings of work. So he's getting a little tired here. And that Atlanta bullpen has had its ups and downs all season long. So I don't like the Atlanta situation. San Francisco ranks 4th in baseball with a 118 WRC plus versus Southpaws. Blake Snell has likely been the best pitcher in baseball since June. In his last 6 starts, he's permitted just 5 combined earned runs in 39 innings of work, including throwing a no-hitter. By signing late, he didn't get the traditional spring training, so his numbers were bad early on. But since that time, there hasn't been anybody any better. I like the Giants here. I like their offense against lefties, and the price is more than fair. The Giants are a team I've been able to make some good money on this season, and we made money on fading the Braves. Let's continue doing that today.
So I surely can't argue off of this play, Brian. I mean, it's two teams that, in my mind, are very much headed in opposite directions right now. From a follow-up standpoint, I can only come down to these two lineups. The Braves right now are hitting. You know, they had a big series in Colorado after they'd been slumping for weeks, and finally it looks like they've broken out of that slump. And San Fran, the offense comes and goes. It's not an elite lineup by any stretch of the imagination. So do you worry at all that Atlanta has found their stroke after struggling for extended stretches, or was that just, hey, we just got to play in Coors Field for the weekend, and we don't necessarily trust that lineup?
Yeah, you got to face the worst pitching staff in baseball in Coors Field. Yeah, they hit very well there, but San Francisco, if you just remember a few days ago against Washington, they pounded Washington. Washington's a team right now not playing well either. So I just trust San Francisco as a team more. And the Braves lineup, just the back of that lineup is just terrible, and it's been that way all season long. Give me the team that's going to give you a more consistent game, and that's what San Francisco is going to do. The Braves have looked really good sometimes this season, but they looked really bad, including their last game. And you talked about Colorado. That first game coming out of the altitude in Colorado, is what I've heard from the players. It is really tough, and that's another situation that we got working for in our value here on the Giants.
Bryan Leonard joining us, everyone. Exclusive handicapper at WagerTalk. Welcome to the chat room, guys. Ray, Titans, B, Javier, all of you guys. Boss is glad I'm wearing a decent shirt today. It's a Viore, boss. So I'm very happy with this shirt. Look at the pipes, in case you wanted to see. Haven't worked out in 6 weeks. Pretty pathetic, if you ask me, but I'm doing a lot of golf. If you guys like this show, please take a second out of your day to hit the like button. Greatly appreciated. We're still stuck on 164,000 subscribers. Need to get a few more to get to 165. Bryan Leonard still with us. We're going to look at the Chicago Cubs minus 118 against the Cleveland Guardians. Cubs have been good to me of late. Are we sticking with the team in blue?
Very interesting handicap here. I went a little bit deeper because I like this game. Shota Imanaga has been fantastic in his rookie year in the USA. He's got a 3.06 ERA, 105 whip. His chase rate is in the 99th percentile, and he's in the 97th percentile in walk rate. So he doesn't put players on base, and he makes them swing at pitches out of the strike zone. He's just been amazing so far this year. When facing a team that hasn't seen him, it's been a major struggle for opposing hitters. Just breaking down the American League teams he's faced this year, 6 games in which he permitted a combined 7 earned runs in 34.2 innings. And if you go back his first 9 starts this season against teams, obviously, that had not seen him before, 5 earned runs in 54.2 innings of work. So despite Cleveland's 114 WRC plus on the season versus Southpaws, I expect Imanaga to have a really good game against Cleveland here. The Guardians wouldn't be where they've been are right now without Ben Lively. He has been the most consistent starter on the staff after being an afterthought going into the season. He enters with a 3.59 ERA, 1.17 whip, very solid. His extension is in the 87th percentile, but other than that, his numbers have been a bit lacking. His fastball velocity is in the 5th percentile. His whiff percentage is in the 8th percentile. You could see it by watching him. He is not tricking people like he was earlier in the season. And scheduling-wise, this has got to be a letdown spot here for the host. After facing the American League favorite Orioles to start the month, then they took on the National League champion Diamondbacks. only to follow that up with a showdown with the second-place Twins. While the fans will remember this World Series loss to the Cubs, none of those players are around anymore, so there's no revenge for them. I like the Cubs here. I think this is a really good spot for them. And as I mentioned, Imanaga, when you haven't faced him before, it takes a long time to understand what he's throwing. And I think that's a big advantage for him here. Even the first 5, I could take that as well. But I like the Cubs here against my Cleveland Guardians.
So over the course of the summer months, Bryan, we've had a lot of different handicappers on the show, and it seems like betting against Cleveland is a consistent theme. Like, this is an overachieving Guardians team, and the Guardians are going to come back to earth, and here come the Guardians slump. And yet, again, Cleveland this past weekend, facing the abyss. What'd they do? Rally for back-to-back wins against Minnesota. How good is Cleveland? Is Cleveland a team we're going to make money betting on or betting against moving forward?
Well, it all depends on what kind of lines you get. I made the comment the other day on one of the shows I was on. Cleveland's about to fall to third place. Kansas City's a better team. Minnesota's a better team. Minnesota just called up one of their big pitching prospects today. Cleveland doesn't have that. Cleveland's, most of their guys that they've got in the minors are not ready to be called up yet, and they've had major injuries. You signed Cobb from San Francisco. He struggled at his first outing. Cleveland's got major starting pitching problems right now. Bobby looked good yesterday, but they had to push him back another week. Twice they had to push him back because of injury concerns. So Cleveland starting pitching staff, terrible. I retweeted something today about the ERAs of the bullpens. The 7th, 8th, and 9th innings, I believe Cleveland's got like a 2.5 ERA. It's about a full run better than anybody else in baseball in the back end. They're the elite back end of base in Major League Baseball, but they've got to be able to get there with the starters and the long relievers, and they've been a little bit lucky. The bullpens pitched a lot of innings this year, and I think that's going to come back and haunt them a little bit later.
Bryan, Leonard, everyone. Bryan, what do you have to promote?
The 2 plays I've given my clients so far, you just got them. So you saved yourself
Nice.
$50 or whatever the full day's thing is there. I may add some more onto that, but they've got that great deal that starts today, I believe. For the price of 3 days, you get 7 days of all of our plays. I don't do preseason football, but I'm about to start putting up regular season college football as well as the NFL, so you'll be able to grab those too. So that's a great deal right now for myself as well as everybody on the site. Just a tremendous deal. Pay for 3 days, get 4 days free, basically.
Yeah, but Bryan, just to clarify real quick, they won't actually get your college football plays if they buy it today. They get the next 7 days of plays, not
Gotcha.
everything you've put up in the system moving forward. However, I'm going to tell all of you guys a little trick. If you buy that 7-day package, and it's worth buying, 3 days, you pay for 3 days, you get 7. If you buy 10 of them, they stack up. So you don't need to just buy it once. You can buy it 5 times, and you can have the next 7 days for the price of 3, 5 times in a row. Don't tell head office I told you that. It's a little quirk in our system. So Bryan Leonard, everyone. We have Bryan Power coming up after Teddy, and I wanted a full Bryan show, but we ran out of Bryans, so we got stuck on 2. I got some stuff to talk about, but let's get into your 6 Bs.
Sure. We've been waiting all summer to do this. It's time for bad beats, bad bets, and bad for the books. A little recap of what just happened this past weekend from a betting standpoint. We focus on football. That's where the bad beats tend to be at their most exciting. There was a couple of them. Obviously, the Hall of Fame game over, 32.5, 33. That was 38 by the first drive of the third quarter. And then those pesky rules came into play. And, of course, peskier thunderstorms. Game did not go 55 minutes. All wagers canceled. Hall of Fame game over, bettors. Not amused. I was one of them.
Yeah.
It was a tough beat if you had the Commanders against the Jets yesterday. The Jets with 2 late scoring drives. Not many of those in the preseason. And, of course, the Jets get the last-minute field goal to win that one. It wasn't fun if you had Washington. And, of course, if you had Dallas yesterday, that wasn't fun either. The Rams hadn't scored a touchdown all day. They got the ball back with 2 and change to go, needing a touchdown to win. They got a 4th and 9 defensive holding to negate Stetson Bennett's 5th interception of the game. And then Bennett hit a 4th and goal touchdown to win. That hurt if you had Dallas. A really tough beat for Cowboys backers. When it comes to bad bets, well, the bettors didn't get it all right this week. Bills plus 1.5 to -3 versus the Bears. Listen to Sean McDermott's quotes on Opening Line Report today. I'll just put it this way. He was not amused by that performance. And the 33-6 final looks worse than it was. The Bills were driving to take the lead in the fourth quarter before they threw a pick six, and then the bottom dropped out. And literally, they had a wide open receiver for a touchdown, but the pass was overthrown. 2 plays later, pick six, and ends up being a 33-6 final. Buffalo money was wrong. Plus 1.5 to -3. The books got to keep all of it. The Raiders plus 1.5 to -3 at Minnesota. Well, the Vikings showed up. Kevin O'Connell had been 0-6 straight up, 1-5 ATS in August, but they rallied from double digits behind in this scenario. Second half in this one. Raiders, backers, not a good one there. Those were bad bets. The Browns bet from -2.5 to -5 against the Packers. They lost that game 23-10. Green Bay starters were on the field for 3 plays. It was enough. The Browns quarterback rotations look good. You know, Jameis Winston, Brett Huntley, DRT, but the offensive line play was not so good for Cleveland in that one. Offensive line depth is a concern perhaps for the Browns moving forward. All that money on Cleveland lost. The Bengals bet up from -2.5 to -5 against the Bucks. They lost straight up at home. That was a bad bet. And of course, we talked about Dallas yesterday already in the bad beats, -3 to -5.5. Everyone knows that Sean McVay doesn't care, but Mike McCarthy doesn't care that much either. A 13-12 Rams final score in that one. The Dallas money, yeah, bad beat. Wasn't a right side either. When it comes for bad for the books, let's see. Carolina, they were legit no-show in Dave Canales' first game. Patriots bet up from -1.5 as high as -7. Call 6.5 the closing number. New England won 17-3. The under took money in that game as well. Patriots-Panthers, a bad game for the house. Houston from +2 to -3 at Pittsburgh. The Steelers outgained them by nearly 2 yards per play, but they got stuffed on a key 4th down at the 2-yard line. They finished -2 in turnover, including an interception on the final possession as they were driving for a chance to win. Houston gets the money after a 5-point line move. That was bad for the books. Same story with Philly, +3 to -2 at Baltimore. They had all kinds of special teams miscues in that ball game, but they did win on a 49-yard field goal as time expired after a Ravens fumble in their own territory. I could have used this in bad beats. That being said, Philly got the money, took the money, 5-point line move. They got the money. Seahawks picked to -3 at the Chargers. They won 16-3. That wasn't good for the house. Nothing but over money for Broncos Colts yesterday, 37 up to 38.5. That was the wildest game of week 1 of the preseason, a 34-30 shootout. That wasn't great for the house. And not one, Lawrence, not 2, but 3 different games landed in the middle. Those tend not to be good for the bookmakers when you cash winning bets on both sides. San Fran and Tennessee. Titans bet up from -3 to -5.5. Lands right in the middle. 17-13 final. They win by exactly 4. New Orleans and Arizona. The Saints from +1 to -3. New Orleans rallies with a last-second field goal. Lands right in the middle. Saints win by 2. And KC Jacksonville total open 37.5, closed 40. Landed 39. Right in the middle. So not a great week for the books, but certainly they won their fair share of the bigger line moves. It wasn't like the wise guys dominated everything when it came to preseason football. There you have it. Bad beats, bad bets, bad for the books. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
Well, I'm looking forward to that every Monday moving forward at Teddy Covers. We've still got Brian Power and Drew Martin coming up. I'll be really quick. I got a couple of things to say. Firstly, guys, and I told you this on Friday, I have not been asking you guys to bet my baseball plays. It was a rough start for me, a rough first half of the baseball season, but I am now rolling in baseball. I have swept my last 3 days. My clients are happy. Ray D'Amico in the chat room has said some nice stuff about my baseball run. And you know, we got an incredible promo up today. You get 7 days of plays for the price of 3, 4 days for free, and I'd use it on my baseball. I think what one of the one of the key things to do when trying to figure out what handicapper to pick is who's really good and had a bad run. I'm really good and I've had a bad run. This is a perfect time to grab my baseball for the next 7 days. I've got 2 plays going tonight, so please take advantage of that promo. And really quickly, last night I watched a movie called Young Woman and the Sea. I think it is a top 5 sports movie of all time. Rotten Tomatoes agrees with me. They have that movie rated critics 89%, audience 97%. This is the story of a New York woman from the early 1900s named Gertrude Eberly. I've never heard of that name before. I'm shocked that most people have never heard of that name. She put down probably the greatest feat of athletics anyone has ever seen up until that time, and maybe still to this day. And she's also probably the most important woman in the history of female sports. I'm not going to tell you much about this movie, but I give this movie a complete and total 10 out of 10. It is freaking spectacular. Bryan Power joining us, everyone. Disney Plus. What up, Bryan?
What's going on, guys? Nice to be back.
Where did you go?
Well, I just only show up when I'm invited, like last Tuesday. Last Tuesday when people apparently didn't like the sound of my voice because I was spiteful after you mentioned that, Prez, and went back through all the comments to see who may have spoken ill of me.
Yeah, so we did have a person say that they didn't like Bryan Power's voice. Amongst other things, Bryan, just for the record, they didn't like some other stuff either.
I didn't see that.
I want to say this, Bryan. Welcome to the club. We started the show by saying at least 20% of the people who watch this show don't like me. Teddy's response?
Take the over.
Bryan,
I like both of you guys. I like myself, too, for the record.
Well, yeah, I hope you didn't like yourself this morning. Anyway, let's move on. Bryan, the Twins.
Yes.
You got to bet for us on this game.
I do. Stay tuned. I'll give you a reason maybe not to like me with my NFL win total coming up in just a little bit. But let's talk Major League Baseball.
You, Bryan.
Well, I know you, and I love you right back, Prez. But I love the Minnesota Twins bats today is also what I love. Now, it was a tough end of the weekend for Minnesota. Brian Leonard, he was on in that last segment. He talked about the series with Cleveland. The Twins swept the doubleheader on Friday, but then they lose a pair of close ones Saturday and Sunday. So they're back to 3.5 games out in the AL Central. Right behind them, Kansas City at 4 games back. Really critical series this is here in the AL Central. It's interesting, guys, when looking at today's MLB board, there are 4 teams that actually were off Sunday because of interleague series. The Royals are one of them. They may be better rested, but I like the Twins bats still because they're facing Brady Singer, who I feel is due for some regression. I'll get into that in just a second. And then I don't really like the Royals bullpen either. Singer, why do I say he's due for regression? I compare his expected ERA, 4.57, to his actual ERA, 3.03. That is one of the biggest gaps among all qualified pitchers at more than a run and a half. And then you look at that actual ERA. Well, Singer's not as good on the road, 3.86 versus 2.50 at home. Last time out, he allowed 4 runs in 5 2/3. It could have been worse because he gave up 10 hits. And for his career, the numbers are not good against the Twins, guys. 5.18 ERA, 3-6 record, 25 walks. I'm also not a fan of this Royals bullpen, which has a 4.58 ERA since May 1st. That ranks 25th. They're missing Hunter Harvey now, who's on the IL. Minnesota is the 4th highest scoring home team in all of baseball, gang. Over 5 runs per game. They were a little unfortunate to come away with just 3 runs yesterday. They had the bases loaded in the bottom of the 9th. Nobody out. They did not get anyone home as there was a strikeout followed by a double play. They had 11 hits, though. And this is a team they homer a lot at home as well. We saw Buxton hit a pair yesterday. It's a much weaker staff that the Twins are facing today than what they were up against in Cleveland. I expect Minnesota to exceed its team total today over 4.5 is the number.
So when we talk about this Twins team right now, I've got the Twins 11-1 against the White Sox and basically 500 against everybody else. You know, they've dominated the week. And when you put them against a decent team, they're no better than a 50-50 proposition. You like them over their team total today, as opposed to as opposed to the side for Minnesota. Is that because you too don't trust the Twins to actually win these games? And you have concerns about their pitching, or is this just the team total is a low-hanging fruit here against a pitcher we want to fade?
A little bit of everything you said. I do think the team total is a little bit of low-hanging fruit. It's a better price than playing them on the money line, obviously. You mentioned how the Twins have feasted on the White Sox this year. You could say the same about the Royals. I think they're 12-1, and you look at the Royals' year-to-date run differential, which is actually superior to that of Minnesota's. Half of that run differential has come at the expense of the White Sox. I think I'm doing this off the top of my head. I wrote it down last week. I think they're 12-1 against the White Sox, Kansas City this year with a plus 50-something run differential. So both of these teams have feasted on the White Sox, so that cancels each other out. The other thing that scared me about playing the Twins on the money line, Teddy, besides the price, is that rest edge. The Kansas City was off yesterday. I think has to be factored in to the handicap a little bit. So price and just my belief in the Twins' bats. Like I said, fourth highest scoring team at home in all of baseball, over 5 runs per game. We just need them to hit their average today of 5 runs.
Bryan freaking Power. Another exclusive handicapper over at WagerTalk, and a guy that I do genuinely love. I think your voice is outstanding. Your dress attire, we could talk about that off air, but phenomenal voice. And
thank you.
Killer hair, dude. Killer hair.
Yes.
Carolina
I'm not gonna get
Panthers. Carolina Panthers.
Yeah.
This is a surprising, counterintuitive bet you have for us.
Yes.
And I'm looking forward to Teddy's follow-up question.
Yeah, funny you mentioned that. I feel that in preparing my notes for the show, as I always do, and this is a very professional show, I always want to be well prepared. I felt that I wanted to address a lot of what Teddy's potential comebacks could be, because yes, this is about as contrarian as it gets. No better way to celebrate football arriving than by Bryan Power coming on here and telling you to bet the worst team in the league over its season win total for 2024. Look, they were terrible last year. There's no doubt about it. They did not have a lead in the fourth quarter at any point. Both of their wins came on the last play of the game. Rookie quarterback Bryce Young, he stunk. But there's only one way to go, and that would be up. And you look at all the metrics that could indicate, positive and negative variance the following year, and they're all pointing up for Carolina. They should have better injury luck. They should have better turnover luck, better field goal luck. They underperformed their Pythagorean win expectation by 1.5. That's usually a sign of positive regression right there. But the thing I like the most is the coaching change. Frank Reich was dreadful last year, which is why he was fired after 11 games. The team was 1-10. Young's going to benefit from being under Canales, who really did wonders with both Geno Smith and Baker Mayfield as the OC of Seattle and Tampa Bay. So I think he's going to improve. He's got better receivers this year with Deontay Johnson and rookie Xavier Legette. The word out of camp today is that he's fine after the injury in practice. The Panthers' defense wasn't terrible last year. 20th in success rate. That's not good, but it's not bottom of the barrel. And they faced a tough schedule of opposing QBs. The offensive line is better. The schedule is much easier this year, one of the easiest schedules in the year. And I think we're going to know, Teddy, pretty early on if this over bet is live, because the first 10 games of the season for Carolina, they face only one team I currently have power rated in my top 15. That would be Cincinnati. Another thing to consider, speaking of schedule, 6 games, against the NFC South. The NFC South is a weak division. I love Tampa Bay under 7.5. I'll give you a bonus one there. New Orleans is a team that feels like it's the clock on Dennis Allen has to be ticking. How's this guy still collecting a paycheck? So we're going to hold our nose, and we're going to bet Carolina over 5.5, a team that will benefit from a weak schedule and every metric indicating that positive regression is on the horizon.
So Carolina can be a lot better. Last year, they're 2-15? They can be a lot better. They can more than double their win total. They can win 3 more games, and you still aren't cashing an overbet because the markets adjust off the very worst teams. Certainly nothing that we saw in their preseason opener would indicate that there's any improvement coming anywhere for the Panthers. We look at Bryce Young, and Bryce Young, in my mind, is this close to being called a bust already.
Yep.
Especially with the way that Stroud is playing and the way the Texans look. Other than regression to the mean, all right, we have a first-year, first-time head coach. Like, what is it about Carolina's roster? Forget the schedule for a minute. What is about their talent level that makes you say, yeah, this team's going to be competitive. This team's going to win 6, 7, 8 games. Because really, if you're betting over 5.5, you want a team to go 7-10. You don't want to trust me, I had a bunch of win totals come down to week 18 last year, and that's not the way you want these to play out. You want to have a little bit of wiggle room. So you're assuming this team's going to approach 500 if you're going to bet them over, even at 5.5 wins. Say, all right, they're going to win 7 or 8 games. Personnel-wise, what makes you think that's feasible?
You look at the roster, sure, it doesn't look great. But, this time last year, we were looking at the Arizona Cardinals roster, calling this maybe the worst team in NFL history. They were not. And every year, it's funny. You talk about the bottom teams and how the progression of the mean is baked into the number, Teddy. Absolutely. Look at the last couple of years, teams that have really struggled and how much they've bounced up. It was Houston last year. The Rams jumped up by I think 5 wins. Houston jumped up by 7.
They have
I think
talent on their roster.
Was anyone saying that last year? Was anyone saying this? And it's easy to say now. People were saying the Houston Texans were going to win the AFC South at this time last year.
Nobody.
They were saying that? No one, exactly.
Nope.
And I'm not saying Carolina's going to win the division. I'm saying they're going to win 6 games. The year before, Jacksonville Jaguars 2 years ago, everyone was mocking them. How their roster looked.
Again,
they
have talent on their team. They had a veteran coach coming in. Bryan, Teddy and I are not with you here. We do have to move on. It's okay.
Hold your nose and bet the over. Look, it's stinky. It's stinky. I get it. But hey, these bottom feeder teams, a lot of times you see them jump up by 4 more wins. We've seen 7 teams the last 3 years who won 5 or more games the previous year jump up by at least 4 wins the next year. So there you have it.
Listen, go ahead, Teddy.
For what it's worth, don't listen to Lawrence giving my opinion. Lawrence is not going to give my opinion. Lawrence doesn't like the Panthers over. I'm neutral.
Correct.
Go on, Lawrence.
Okay. I don't like the Panthers over, but given the division they're in, it could happen. Bryan Power, what do you got to promote?
Over 2.5 division wins is another option if you think 6 wins overall is too many. What do I have to promote? I have 2 plays available for Monday. You got one of them earlier on with the Twins team total over. Was a rough weekend on the baseball front, but last time I was on this show, cashed a 5% bet on the Colorado Rockies against the Mets. So hoping for the good WagerTalk Today juju today. We've already hit that 7-day special. That would include the start of the soccer season. Premier League is back on Saturday, guys. I ended the Premier League season, last one, 8-0, 33-14-2 soccer run overall. So lots of reasons to take advantage of that special over at my page, wt.buzz/BP. It starts with 2 MLB winners tonight.
Go City. Bryan Power, everyone. Teddy covers. We've got 12 minutes left as we have a hard stop. What is your big game breakdown? And then Drew Martin up after that.
Big game breakdown for Monday. Let's talk about the Cincinnati Reds and the St. Louis Cardinals right now. Looking at the WagerTalk live odds screen. St. Louis, anywhere from -125 to -130 on the highway as road favorites. Total has been bet down. There were 9s at the open. Now we're looking at 8.5, even 8.5 juice to the under at a lot of books. Not something we tend to see in Cincinnati, which tends to be a high-scoring ballpark, but there is a fair bit of respect for Sonny Gray today. There's urgency for Cincinnati right now. They're really trying to stay relevant in the wild card race. They haven't been playing meaningful games in August in recent years. This year they are. Quote, it's a great thing. We're still playing meaningful games. Despite our record and despite we still have a bit of an uphill battle, it's just great to have a chance to play every single night with something on the line. They needed a win yesterday, and they scratched, and they clawed, and they found a way to get one to avoid the sweep in Milwaukee. Infielder Santiago Espinal. We needed this. We needed this going back home and playing St. Louis, another must-win series. Tyler Stevenson hit his 15th dinger last night. Anytime you can walk out of here with a win with huge. I feel there's huge. I feel we played really competitive games. David Bell, the Reds manager, talked about their defense yesterday, which has been phenomenal in recent games. Defense in some ways won the game for us. Worked out of numerous jams in the latter stages of that contest. Since he started Andrew Abbott, his last 3 starts have been pretty bad. He has reached a career high in innings. This is only his second season in the big leagues. That being said, before that, it was all good. 5 of his previous 6, he allowed 2 runs or less. I think returning home against a modest Cardinals lineup is exactly what he needs. St. Louis is 7-10 their last 17. They scored 4 runs or less 13 of their last 19. And Ace Sonny Gray, yeah, he dominated in June. Last start, he beat up the can't-hit Rays. But he hasn't been great for much of the summer. He's given up 26 runs in his previous 6 outings. Only 2 quality starts during that entire span. I think since he's live here at the plus price, give me the Reds plus 115 as home dogs against the Cardinals. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
Thank you, Teddy. Let's keep it moving along. Drew Martin, brother, it has been a while. Congratulations on getting married, my friend. As a man who's basically done it twice, well done. I hope it was beautiful. Thank you again for inviting me. I couldn't make it to Mexico. I was too busy getting high at the Grateful Dead shows. But we love having you on the show, and I hope married life is treating you brilliantly.
Well, thanks for having me, Lawrence. And yeah, it was beautiful. It was a great time. And actually just flew back from Mexico last night. So spent a couple months down there and enjoying the summertime, my man. So just firing away on some bets, hopefully some winners, and yeah, can break it down with you guys.
Excellent stuff. Well, any woman would be lucky to have you, Drew Martin. Let's get into this Texas-Boston game. Yeah, not you, Teddy. Not you. And we never did talk about the fact that you're such a curmudgeon trying to quit smoking that your woman literally slept in the other room a couple of nights. But we'll move on. Drew, break this game apart.
From stopping smoking to the Texas Rangers, Boston Red Sox here, guys. 7-10 in Fenway. We got Tyler Mahle on the hill for the Rangers. And this is only his second start of the season. He's a guy that I've had in my baseball notes here. Look to fade him in situations, particularly early on. Now, his first start, he went 5 innings, 5 hits. He did only have 2 strikeouts. That's not too promising. And he was throwing like 91 miles per hour. Something I like to do, guys, I've had success, is fade the starting pitchers where their velocities dropped. He's a guy that used to throw 93, 94. Now, it's 2 ticks down. So have him look to fade. He's up against the Red Sox team here that just gave up 31 runs in their last 4 games, losing 4 straight, getting swept by the Astros. So they're not necessarily a bet-on team. But their starting pitcher, Bayo, right now he's got a 5.1 ERA. He's given up 18 home runs on the season. So there's huge question marks on the pitching side for really both teams here, guys. It's a hitter's ballpark, wind blowing out tonight in Boston. And both bullpens since the All-Star break have been like bottom 5 in MLB. So, this total at 9, I think we get into the double digits. So I like the Rangers and the Red Sox up and over 9.
So we got 9.5 pretty much across the board right now. And Boston, they tore the cover off the ball coming out of the All-Star break, and they've been as good an over team as there is in baseball for the better part of the last 2 months. But the lineup appears to have cooled off a little bit. They scored 4 runs or less now in 4 consecutive ball games, including only 2 runs yesterday. Are you worried at all that at 9.5 with the current total and the Red Sox offensive woes as we speak, that they may not get there?
Yeah, you're right, Teddy. That 9 in the hook, definitely not as appetizing, but you do get kind of plus money on the over. And sure, yeah, recent performance, it is something to account for, but still, the quality of pitcher, I think, matters a little bit more. And I wouldn't put Mahle up there at the top of the MLB ranks right now. So, hey, I'd still go with the over, but you bring up a fair point.
Drew Martin joining us, everyone. Drew, let's keep going. You've got a bet for us on this Milwaukee game. You like them tonight at -105. Tell us why.
I do like this one, guys. This is a client play going tonight. This is kind of like the best bet for the show, if you will. And a big reason why is Clayton Kershaw on the hill. Great career, big name. A lot of people like him. A lot of people like to bet on the Dodgers first off, and then they see the name Kershaw. I think there's a tax here, and we're going to look to go the other way. Yes, the Dodgers did just win 3 straight against the Pirates, but they've lost the last 2 times Kershaw's taken the hill. And going back to the velocity, guys, he's a guy that used to throw mid-90s. Now he's throwing like 89, 90 miles per hour. He's full fade city right now. He's had 3 starts off of the IL, 3-4 innings in each start, 17 hits given up in 12 innings. That's 10 runs as well. So I think the Milwaukee Brewers are going to get after him. This is a Milwaukee Brewers lineup. Talk about like different dichotomies and profile of pitcher that they face. They actually struggle against guys that get up there in velocity. And they really kind of hit around guys throwing lesser velocity. So that's an angle I really like. And I'm not so sure that the market's fully in tune to that. Plus they got Peralta on the hill. He's got 155 strikeouts. The Brewers have won 5 of their last 6 playing good baseball. Battle of first place teams here, NL Central, NL West. The Brewers are also really good at home, 11 games over 500, and they have the bullpen edge as well. Pick 'em price tag, really it's -105 on each side. I'm on the Brew Crew tonight over the Dodgers.
There we go.
Are you-
Drew
how
Martin.
confident are you,
Sorry,
Drew?
Teddy. Sorry. My bad.
How confident are you that the Brewers have a bullpen edge in this ballgame against LA?
Fairly confident. I do different metrics that I don't want to give out fully out there because I think I do have an edge, TC. But over the last 4 or 5 weeks right now, going over strikeout and walk rate, a couple others, they're the number 3 bullpen in baseball by my bullpen rating. So, yeah, a couple slots higher than the Dodgers.
Teddy, anything else for Drew?
What do you have to promote, Drew Martin? Besides the opening line report coming live, 10 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Eastern time, just about 18 minutes from now.
Oh, man. Yeah, check out the NFL opening line report, guys, getting you ready for the NFL season and NFL preseason right now, I guess. So, yeah, TC and I will be breaking it down.
And that is one of our most listened to shows on the entire network. And Teddy and Drew, you guys get a lot of compliments for that show. So congratulations. Guys, check that out, please. Teddy covers. We made our hard stop. Take us home.
Sure. That's going to wrap it for the Monday edition of WagerTalk Today. We'll do it again tomorrow. Same time, same channel, 9 a.m. here on the left coast, noon for you back east. Between now and tomorrow's show, enjoy the games and best of luck with all your bets. Cheers.